Now, while your name is important, as well as where you may have worked in the past, it's really your content, your skills, your achievements, and specifically the results that will be found in your bullet points that are going to get you to the interview. So in this section, let me introduce to you a framework on how to really write good bullet points. This is probably the most important section of them all, so listen up. If you're going to have your content really stand out, you need to try and incorporate the following 4 parts into every bullet that you write. These are the skill, the task, the tools, and the result. What do I mean by each one? Well, let's start with the skill. And that brings me back to guiding principle number 2. Think transferable skills. What have you done in this one job, this one company, or one organization that you've been helping with that's going to be relevant to the job that you're looking for and the position you're applying to? The skill usually is found right at the beginning, and it's usually in the form of an action verb. Action verbs are things like design, develop, constructed. You've seen them, and here's a short subset of all possible action verbs. If you're stuck for words, just do a Google on action verbs resume, and you'll see a really long laundry list for you to pick and choose. Now, certain verbs are better than others, so I want you to avoid using what I call weak verbs. These are things like assisted in, helped, worked, responsible for. When you think about those words and you think about what you actually really did, it's really hard to tell. You worked, you're responsible for. What's the actual skill you're bringing to the table? And I know why you use words like assisted in and helped. You don't want to oversell, and you don't want to take too much credit for something you might have done. That's no problem. Just rearrange the words slightly. Have the skill come right up at the front because that's what employers are looking for, and you could switch things around. So if you assisted in building a marketing plan, then the bullet could be something like design marketing plan as part of a team. That gets the same information across and the same meaning with the important skill, which is design, right at the beginning. Now, when it comes to task addresses the what. This is the description of the sentence, and it gives the reader some context of what you've actually done. But frankly speaking, employers don't really care about what you specifically did in your past job, because usually it's not really relevant to them, unless you've worked for them in the past or you worked for a competitor in their industry. So keep this description as short and concise as possible. So if the skill is designed, what did you design? That would be the task. Now, when it comes to skills and tasks, most people already know about these. If you look down on your resume, you probably already have those covered, but those are really just the basics. If you really want to stand out, then it's the tools and the results that are really going to distinguish you from the rest. So with respect to tools answer the question how. This is a section that allows you to show the employer that you have practical knowledge with certain procedures, methods, or technical skills that you've acquired. So again, back to our example, if the skill is designed and what you design is a client database, then how did you go about doing that? Using Microsoft Access, perhaps? Again, this is a great way to show the employer that you have practical experience with these technical skills and not just theoretical book knowledge. If you've done a customer-facing job here, then perhaps you've dealt with customer complaints. How did you go about doing it? In a professional manner, perhaps? Now, most university students will all have analytical skills, which is something that's usually very well sought after. But how does an employer differentiate your quality of analytical skills versus your peers? Well, it's all in the results. If you have strong results, that will really make your skills stand out and make you look better than the next person. So in the results section, here you address the question why. What was the purpose of what you did? And what was the end result? It really is the part that's going to give you that leg up on the competition. And if at all possible, try to quantify and use numbers to describe the results. Numbers really jump out and leap out on a page. So when you're scanning, I'll always stop to look at numbers and then kind of look backwards and see what this sentence is all about, which is a good thing for you. Numbers don't need to be exact though. You can just use estimates and round numbers, but just make sure they're defensible. So now looking at one of our examples, most of you when you go on to your internships, you're probably working on a process improvement project or probably doing some automation project to help improve the efficiency. So in this one case, a student who was designing a database in Microsoft Access using forms was able to help the sales force spend less time, looking up basic contact information and doing paperwork and spending more time in the field. When I pushed them to talk a little about what the actual results were, they were able to see that because the sales force spent less time in the office and more time in the field, they were able to increase their sales by almost 15%. So that's a great bullet now. Design client database using Microsoft Access, which increased sales by 15%. Back to the front office job, dealing with customer complaints in a professional manner. Why did you go about doing that? Well, the reason you do put up with all these customer complaints is you want to try to maintain customer loyalty and get that loyal customer to come back and have future purchases with you. So let's do a quick recap. Skill, what is the skill? This is the transferable skill, the action verb, and make sure you stay away from weak verbs like responsible for, assisted in, and helped. The task answers the what part of the question. Keep this part very short and sweet, and again, it's the least important part of the sentence. It's just to give some context. The tools address the how. How'd you go about doing the skills that you did? What methods, what procedures that you use? It gives the reader some understanding that you have actual practical knowledge with the things that you've learned, not just theoretical book information. And last but not least, and the most important part, the results. This addresses the why. What was the end purpose? What was the end results? And quantify and qualify the results if at all possible. If you're able to incorporate all 4 of these parts in your bullet points, I can guarantee your content's going to stand out. In the next clip, we'll talk specifically about the work experience section and see an example.